The engine of conservative politics in America is the conservative movement, which began largely as a serious intellectual movement in the 1950s. Its principles were already limited government, free enterprise, strong national defense, and traditional values. But it focused primarily on developing its ideas and on the important job of attracting others to those ideas. Typically, conservative intellectuals considered the nitty-gritty of political action beneath their dignity. They identified the errors and dangers of the left. They persuasively promoted an inspiring set of conservative ideas. They did grow the movement. They formed some national conservative organizations which modestly prospered without raising much money or identifying, much less activating, really large numbers of people. When they did try political action, those early movement conservatives chose to work almost entirely within the Republican Party. In early May 1972, while I worked at the American Enterprise Institute, Lee Edwards introduced me to his friend Richard Viguerie, who had served as executive director of Young Americans for Freedom, the youth group organized around the groundswell for Barry Goldwater. No longer almost a recluse, he sought out philosophically sound conservatives who had proved themselves as activists in various areas of the public policy process. Most of them already knew and trusted each other. He invited them often and hosted them at mostly small but innumerable meetings and meals to discuss, to figure out, and to implement what had to be done for conservatives to start beating the liberals in politics. As his political assistant, I helped organize Richard's movement-building meetings and participated actively in them. The discussions often proved highly productive. Leaders of some previously existing good groups did not agree with some of the conclusions reached in the Viguerie meetings, particularly the decisions to encourage the creation of a wide variety of new conservative organizations and to persuade existing conservative groups to develop the skills required to grow dramatically in membership and political effectiveness. Some felt creating new and larger organizations would only drain resources from existing organizations. Our response was that if conservatives couldn't increase our resources and members, we would never win. Jump-starting the conservative movement worked, and before long, new conservative groups of all types sprang up, doing good work in many conservative issue areas. First dozens, then hundreds, and now thousands of new groups. As a guide for conservatives wanting to start public policy organizations or expand existing ones, many years ago, I wrote a booklet, The Conservative Organizational Entrepreneur. Periodically updated, that booklet is now easily accessible for free online. A number of long-established conservative organizations also grew prodigiously in the 1970s. For example, the well-respected National Right to Work Committee increased from 25,000 members in 1972 to more than 1.7 million members in 1979. What had largely been a conservative intellectual movement grew into a formidable, workable coalition of better skilled, self-identified conservative activists and leaders able to defeat the left in many political contests, that's elections and legislative battles, and thereby to affect public policy. During those years of Viguerie meetings, I summarized what participants had discovered. I described what made the big difference, which enabled the exciting and effective growth of conservative activity, the creation of what the news media began in the middle 1970s to describe as the new right.
Thanks so much for watching this video. To watch our latest video, click here. And to make sure you don't miss any future videos, be sure to subscribe.